Next up, this is going to be a larger segment because we're going to be covering all the Transformer Legacy stuff. This is all Transformers Wave 3 Legacy. Some of this stuff we've already seen images of. We've already kind of covered a little bit on the podcast in the past. There is some new stuff here. There is some new reveals too, but what I want to do is I want to kind of have the new reveals, but also mixed with some of the stuff we've talked about in the past, because we have new images of this stuff, as well as some clarification and understanding of some of the directions that were done with some of these characters. And I like those kind of discussions because it gives us a better and broader image of what's going on with the brand, why decisions are made, and what is on the mind of some of the designers, the marketers, or then some. And of course, we get the shout outs of who was behind some of these things too, which is also nice. So let's get into that. It's going to be, again, another visual one, so keep your eyes on the screen, not just the voice that you're listening to right now. So first up, we have our Transformers Legacy Wave 3 Deluxe Class Blanker, a.k.a. Point Blank. And he's listed here to come with Autobot Peacemaker. Now, this is the first thing that I want to talk about, is that they actually use the Autobot Peacemaker trademark. So apparently we don't have to worry about Peacemaker being a thing with Mattel, with their DC brand and a John Cena character. So apparently Autobot Peacemaker is good enough, and we got that going on. Now, interestingly, Mark, he mentions that it's a Battle Master. I guess that's kind of the in-house lingo that they're going to be using for Target Masters. While it's not referred to as a Target Master on the packaging, by him referring to it as a Battle Master and then reverting back to calling it a Target Master just due to, I guess, internal muscle memory of what that character is really based on, is something, again, also interesting to note. So this was a design done by Hasui-san, aka Mr. Masterpiece, MP10 and onward himself. So Hasui did the designs for that one. Mark pretty much just wanted to do it because he really wants to finish off those Target Masters, and that's one way to kind of start with that character, is to start with that design of that Target Master. Potentially we might see something else in the future from this mold, maybe on a more Headmasters anime, more accurate look, but that is still to be determined. Another Hasui-san little nice touch was that there's an opening cockpit on the design, but you can't really put anything in the cockpit, but it's nice, a little hinged joint there, little Hasui-san masterpiece kind of extra detail on that mold. Not much else that could really be said, though, about that one, because we've kind of covered this design in deep. Now, next up is Crankcase. Now, Crankcase was, again, another one of those things where they kind of did the character more so out of a trademark obligation, if anything else. And it was one of these things where when there was the movie Crankcase, that's when Mark and Evan went, oh, right, yeah. Oh, yeah, that Crankcase was a G1 trademark. I guess we could do something with that. So instead of doing a movie Crankcase, they decided to go with a G1 incarnation of the TriggerCon, and that's what we have here today. Fun thing to mention, though, they were talking about the design and how they made a weapon out of one of the parts of the car mode as a way to kind of add an extra kind of unique tooling to it, because this is a partial and retool of the Legacy Skids Deluxe class mold. So by having a weapon or accessory be part of the alt mode's kind of final veneering and design, they could get a very different look. And so they have this kind of front grille that I love it too, because it's supposed to be a gun, but I swear when you take off that grille, just by the way that the headlights are and everything, almost looks like a boombox. That's just me. That's just the way I see it. But it looks kind of like a boombox. But what also was funny was the stock images that they were showing showed the accessory plugged in upside down, where the packaging images of the stock images on the back of the box have it put right side up. I'll show it there on the screen. But it looks pretty cool. Mark also pointed out how they managed to sculpt in some extra details of the two little classic shoulder blasters that TriggerCons had back in the day. He sculpted it on the shoulders of Crankcase here. Obviously, it doesn't have the traditional spring-loaded TriggerCon gimmick, but still pretty cool that the little sculpted detail is there. They didn't have to do that. They could have just put two little, peg holes, and then you just stick two guns back there. But it's nice that they added that little sculpted detail, and it shows really how far they could go with a mold. Look at what Skids was at a core basis, its legacy figure, and how much they were able to put a new accessory, resculpt some other parts, and then make a whole brand new character out of it that really, in a lot of ways, almost feels like two very different toys. So props to them. They also showed Dead End, our next Stunticon piece. The only thing that they really wanted to show off is just how it combines and how it attaches to Motormaster and to make Menassor's arm, how it clips and it makes them split apart, much like with Dragstrip. There wasn't really much else they wanted to show there. There was the funny line, big bots do squats, talking about how it had the little spindly legs of Menasor and stuff, so nice little joke there. And then there was a little teaser mentioned by, I believe it was BMAC, saying how we might see the last member at PulseCon. So Breakdown we might be seeing at the next PulseCon coming up. So keep that in mind. When they got to Skullgrin, they talked about how it was a design challenge and, dealing with pretenders and how it wants to be tackled and everything like that. That was a Yuki-san design, the Skullgrin Deluxe class here. Has a rotating turret gun with articulated blasters, which is really nice for that price point. Usually they don't have the tooling to do stuff like that. It usually stays in one place. Very nice head sculpt also done by Yuki-san. They mentioned that the head sculpt actually has 3 separate pieces on it to make it a very dynamic looking 3D head sculpt, which was very nice, especially for that price point. Evan mentioned how, he's heard that a lot of fans really want to see the return of a actual legitimate Pretender shell and how it was, how it's difficult. Evan mentioned how Lenny, one of the lead designers of the Transformer brand currently, wanted to do a Pretenders, but they didn't really know how they wanted to go about it. Is it going to be traditional Pretender shells with the shell? Would that be a Leader or Voyager class? And then Mark, of course, mentioned to Lenny, well, why don't we just merge them together like it's been done in the past with some other characters? And that was that. So that's how they kind of came to what they have right now. And then Mark said, let them know, would you guys want legitimate Pretender shells back? I know me personally. I mean, when they did those decoy armors, I was all over those. And it was sad because those decoy armors in Power of the Primes didn't sell well. So maybe that's why they have that apprehension when it comes to that kind of stuff. But they want to know, do you want to see legitimate Pretender shell with separate robots making a comeback? And then BMAC even made the suggestion, why not do the retro reissues that we've been doing with Walmart with the original Pretender shell molds in mind? So was that a teaser? Was that a suggestion of what we might get in some ways to keep some of those trademarks? I don't know, but that would be absolutely weird. I mean, again, I love Master Force. I love those Pretender shells, but those as reissues, I don't know. I really don't think that would float with the general audience, me personally. I could understand you do one release, something on the side, but even me, who's a huge fan of Pretender shells, I just don't know. Like the business side of my brain just goes, ooh, I don't know about that. I understand from a trademark standpoint, you might have to do it, but from a business standpoint for sales and, for Walmart to want to carry it, ooh, I don't know. Next we have Inferno, Beast Wars Inferno Voyager class now from the Wave 3 Legacy stuff. Tomo-san was the designer on that, along with some other Takara Tomy hands. Doug Shelties, apparently one of the Beyblade designers, also helped with the sculpting of the Ant mode. So that's pretty cool to get some also some of the other brands within the Takara Tomy side of things and Hasbro. Someone from the Beyblade division helping with that. Maybe he was a fan. Who knows? The metallic paint on the face, articulated mouth, for both modes, both the ant mode mandibles and the robot mode face, to really make some screaming faces. They really went out of their way to kind of capture that animation model. They showed the splitting of the articulation of his little jet booster on the back, the rocket booster, and how it's able to actually spin around and do it like the original show and stuff. So it looks really, really nice. They said that there was only one negative, was they had to make a compromise when it came to the weapon. They didn't have enough plastic and tooling to be able to make a full jet booster for the back of his jet, I guess his jet butt or his jet thorax. I don't know how it's pronounced. But it's something where they had to make a compromise. So their logic was, well, why don't we make the gun also the jet booster in the back, and that way if you want to have the jet booster, you could put it in the back if you want to pop it out, and it could be Inferno's gun instead. So it's one of these things, I guess if you want to have the best of both worlds, you might have to buy two Infernos and then have one gun in his hand and one jet booster plugged in. I mean, I don't know how you'd have to go about it. They also said that a lot of the images that have been surfacing and circling online, including the test shots, have had black eyes on the ant mode. It's actually going to be painted blue in the final product, so it'll be show accurate. So just keep that in mind when judging how this figure looks in different photography and stuff. He is going to have blue eyes for the final product to match the original animation model from Beast Wars. So that's pretty cool. When he talked about the Voyager class Armada Starscream, they just pretty much said that he's going to be a big part of the kickoff and the celebration of Transformers Armada going into 2023 with the Legacy line, because while Armada really celebrated its true anniversary in 2022 in America, it was 2023 in Japan where it really got the ball rolling. And of course, Armada also existed in the second half of its lifespan in 2023. And of course, the debut of Unicron, celebrating the 20th anniversary of the brand, because we go all the way back to 2002 and 2003 with Transformers Armada. So, I mean, Starscream is supposed to represent, this is the first item in many items to come of Legacy doing Transformers Armada and Micron Detsetsu product. So that's pretty cool. And again, they tease that we might see more Armada product at Hasbro PulseCon. So, ooh, again. And that was an Ataku-san creation by Takara Tomy. He did a really good job capturing that character. Now we got the leader class. They talk about their leader class, Transmetal 2 Megatron Beast Wars. That was a Sam design. Lenny, the lead designer, really wanted to do it. He wanted it to live up to those Aaron Archer origins of design, because that was an Aaron Archer design back in the Beast Wars era, that Dragon Megatron. If you went to Aaron Archer's booth at TFCon that just passed with me and him, we had the Dragon Megatron at the booth. You know, you could see the original one right there, and people were asking, "Is that for sale? Could I buy that?" It's like, no, it's just for display, my friends. Tony Kalela from the Marvel Legends line, he's actually one of the colorists for the Marvel Legends action figures at Hasbro. Actually, also helped with the coloring of this leader class Transmetal 2 Megatron. So we got also some other guys from within the Hasbro company helping with the design to kind of make it as animation perfect as possible. Ijima-san from Japan and Takara Tomy was the one who actually did the actual design of the sculpt with Sam. And they used the original CG digital model from Mainframe in order to kind of make it as perfect as possible. This figure is massive for a leader class, according to them. So it's a very large figure, has a huge wingspan, has a huge beast mode and everything. Just looks really, really, really good as a final product. And Emilio Ano was the one who did the surfacing detail and the veneering. They were just kind of like, shouting out to all the people who worked on this one. It was a multiple people project celebrating that classic Beast Wars design, and it looks really good. Just in my opinion, I know some people have been ragging on it. I think it looks fantastic. Maybe it's my bias to Beast Wars, but it looks really exciting, that one. And they also mentioned how the wings that are used on the final product for the Dragon mode, they use polypro plastic for the wings, so it's a very high quality, strong wing plastic. I guess that might be a little bit of also a throwback, because the original Beast Wars Transmetal 2 Megatron, the Dragon Megatron, didn't use polypro wings, and they could kind of be a little fragile, especially 25 years later. So they're using a very strong plastic for these giant wings and stuff. It looks really good. That's all I'm going to say. It just looks really, really good. Now we have our new reveal, something that we got to see for the very first time, the Core Class BombBurst we finally got to see. Now, this one looks really, really good, primarily because while the alt mode is, again, using that Pretender shell look of that vampire bat kind of look and everything, again, that Master Force kind of throwback, the alt mode is like 100% like throwing back to that original Inner Robots alt mode. It looks really good in its simplicity, but it was a simplistic transformation, so it kind of works with that core class. I think he looks great. That was a Hasui-san creation. Again, Mr. Masterpiece doing this little core class. Comes with his axe, again, just like the original toy. It looks really good. Really, really good. The core class BombBurst. I mean, it makes me wonder now, like, what these are going to be tooled into afterwards, because is there going to be extensive retooling with this, or are they just going to do one and done with these? Because I can't really see where you could go with it unless you like extensively retool that, into, I don't know, a mini, a mini Metal Hawk. Like, I don't know what you do with that. Comments in the descriptions below and in the comments below, but I still think it looks great, though. I love where the core class is finding all these little pretenders that could find their place, but now even deluxes too. So really cool, really cool. And then they showed us, and again, it's worth mentioning because they kind of talk about development. They say about, oh, the core class filler in Wave 3 is going to be a repack of the core class Kingdom Soundwave. And there's going to be nothing different this time around. The only thing different, if you want to be really technical, is the packaging art is going to be different this time around. But Mark just said, you know, he wanted to have a second chance for this mold to be out there because it's a really good mold, and it really is. It's a fantastic mold for a core class. And that it comes with the little Laserbeak cassette that's non-transformable. Mark mentioned that when they were developing this, they actually tooled it to have maybe Laserbeak's head pop out, but then they realized it was so small, the tooling, for the head to be able to pop out of the little tape cassette, that they just figured it's too small. You know, we're better off just kind of leaving it as a static tape cassette. And that was that. So it's cool that they actually attempted at one point, even at that super small price point, to potentially make it transformable. Even little wings coming out maybe in just the head, you know, but they said, oh, it's too much. And that's that more or less for the Legacy. For the Legacy stuff, we still have one more segment. It's a little more, you know, a little more on the licensing side of things, but there is some interesting news here that was teased, which we'll get into in a moment. But yeah, we got one more segment today, and then we'll have the wrap up of the Transformer Tuesday. I hope to talk to you real soon later today.